Hi, I'm Ray Negron, and on November the 7th, Bat Boy shall return. November the 7th, virtual Bat Boy. And that day, we have Little Ray.
I love the New York Yankees. I will do anything Steinbrenner tells me.
And then, of course, we had my Aunt Olga.
Hola!
Who showed me how to have a heart, because she had the greatest heart I ever knew, next to my mom, that is. And of course, we had the man who taught me how to be tough in the streets, next to the boss, that is, and that is Billy Martin.
Oh, really? That's right, Ray.
And Billy, in essence, I just need to know, I know you were the greatest manager ever, but why did you have to beat up on so many people?
No argument there.
I'm tired. 20 sold out shows. You keep popping me in the mouth.
That's
Marshmallow salesman.
Marshmallow salesman.
Come on virtually November 7th, NYPVG Studios. We're raising money for families challenged with autism and kids that need baseball equipment in the Bronx.
Be there November the 7th, virtual, whatever that means.
Be there.
November 7th.
Stay tuned.
Reach out, oh, with Ray and Steve. Reach out, with Ray and Steve. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the car. For the home team, if they're not winning, it's a shame. Play ball.
Hello, everybody, and a very pleasant good evening to each one of you, wherever you may be. My name is Robby Robinson, and I'm coming from Los Angeles, California, talking to my buddies Ray and Steve on the East Coast in New York City and the Bronx. And I'm here to welcome you to Reach Out with Ray and Steve. And so, with no further ado, let's bring on the host of the show, Mr. Ray and Steve. Come on in.
Pasa.
Hey, Robby.
Roberto, so listen, you're flying high right now. What do you think?
It's been a roller coaster ride this past weekend. I'll tell you that. It was like dipsy doodle and then up, but we're up on top. And thank you for that great intro. Look at that stuff. Wow.
Yeah, this is supposed to be a Yankee show, but it turned into Dodger Blue here right before our eyes.
Who told you this was a Yankee show?
I don't know. Yankee Met,
This is a variety show.
A variety show.
See,
there we go.
We're trying to be like Johnny Carson over here, and you're trying to act like David Cohn and stuff. You know what
Well,
I'm
maybe
saying?
we'll get Coney on today. I don't know. But Robby, Sunday night, you probably weren't doing so good, huh?
This is not the Yes Network, fellas. Okay? Unbelievable.
Saturday night was a really rough night for me.
Yes.
Saturday night, the Dodgers had a game in the bag, and then they just let it slip away.
Yes.
But Sunday night, my man, Clayton Kershaw, came back and showed that the narrative is not as accurate as a lot of people might paint it, and won the game 4-2. Dodgers win 4-2. We even had a replay of Jackie Robinson, 1955.
That's right. Trying to steal home out at the plate. Nice going. So now Game 6 is tomorrow night. So you ready to go?
Well, let's not even get into all that, okay? We will get into your little Dodger land fantasy in a second, okay? But before we get into that, our associate producer, come on over here, Carmine.
Carmine, little Ray here.
Okay, so what do we got here?
All right, so this weekend we have H21 hand sanitizers here.
What the heck is H21 hand sanitizers?
So Alfred Zaccanino, he's the founder of it, and basically this weekend, Ray and I went to PS 55 in the Bronx, and we gave it out to parents, to kids, and just to make sure that everyone is staying sanitary during this pandemic situation, and everyone is staying okay. And the donation came from Gio Urshela and Gleyber Torres from the New York Yankees. So thank you to Lou and Alfred Zaccanino and everyone.
Thank you to Gleyber and Gio, because they continuously show the kids of the Bronx, that it's bigger than the game. Baseball in America has done a lot for a lot of the guys that have come from other countries, and I love the fact that they're giving back this way and that they care about our children, and that's very, very important. I love Gleyber and Gio. I mean, they have never said no.
That's right.
And in the old days, I had Thurman Munson, and you know what? Thurman Munson used to say to me, "I'll do it as long as you don't tell anybody that I'm gonna do it." But the minute that these guys start showing up, I'm leaving. You know what? I can tell you 40 times that me and Thurman went someplace, and it just went on through the years and all that. Yankees have always done that. I mean, the guy tonight that we have on our show, he's incredible because he has his own quiet way of doing things.
That's right.
And we will talk to him and his little protege later on, and
Castillo.
We'll just get him on when we get him on. Okay,
but we
you always got to ruin everything.
I know. I'm trying to make this ship sail though. But you know what, Ray? We had some really devastating news.
God.
A great friend of ours, but for you've known Ken Fagan for so many years, so many decades. A war veteran. A great friend, giving back tenfold to his community, to veterans in Florida. But you've known him for so long, and he passed away several days ago.
Ken Fagan, this guy here flew more war missions, and he used to treat me like if I was a hero.
Wow.
And I said, brother, I didn't get in no airplanes and have to fly into danger zones in Korea, in Vietnam, and you did it because you were protecting our country. And this guy, he was just one of the great souls and one of the most important people in my life. And I'm devastated, and I'm cried out.
Right.
I'm cried out.
And when we had a Bat Boy performance in Tampa,
he came to every show.
He was there. He helped squeeze.
This guy would fly. This guy, 83 years old, in a wheelchair, and he would fly into New York because he didn't want to miss a single Bat Boy show. And I know how he treated Squeegee. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I know how he treated everybody. So anyway.
Yeah, and the show in Tampa, he was the main guy. But Squeegee and I and Ken went around, and we filled that place up with veterans. And the show Bat Boy, really, the funds that were raised there gave back to that veteran program there in Tampa. Mm. And Ken was the mastermind behind the whole thing.
Incredible. Again, 83, couldn't walk, but you know what? He got there.
That's right.
He did what he had to do to get there, and there he is, and
his grandson,
with his life.
Yep. And so thoughts and prayers go out to the Fagan family and Tristan. And I know the services are coming up. I think the wake is on Thursday, and the funeral's
I don't want to talk no more about that. Let's move on. Let's go.
Ken. So, but we have a baseball show and we have a music show.
We have a variety show. We are better than Johnny Carson.
There we go.
We are better than Jimmy Fallon, and you know why? Because we got the best musical director in America, baby.
Right.
And we have great guests today, don't we, guys? It's amazing.
Every week, and they only get better and better. And what are we going to do here, Steve?
Well, we have not one author, but two authors, both connected with the Yankees. We have Squeegee, author of Clubhouse Confidential, and David Cohn, who we all know, 5-time All-Star, 5-time World Series champion. His book, Full Count. and they are together. They were brought together by this single game in 1999. Let's check it out.
Popped up and playable. Rocious. A perfect save by David Cone.
Wow, what a
Can you
moment
breathe?
that is.
David, could you breathe? Can you breathe?
Don Larson's in the house. There we go.
Okay.
All right, bring on.
David, I gotta ask you. I've been wanting to ask you for 20 years. Could you breathe in that pile?
No, I was enough already. Like, let's go. Let's get up. You know, and it was Joe Girardi grabbed me, got me in a bear hug, and pulled me down on the ground on top of him. And then everybody piled on top. And, you know, it was just a surreal moment. Nobody was saying anything. We were just kind of, you know, trying to process what just happened. When you do something like that at Yankee Stadium, you kind of, it takes you a minute, you know, to figure out historically what you just did, what you were a part of, and what it meant.
Right.
And David, and I mean, I've always wondered, do you ever get like the thought of an anxiety attack when you're under a pile like that?
You know, the anxiety attack actually came before the ninth inning when I had like to talk with myself in the mirror, trying to talk myself through this. You've got 8 innings. You're perfect through 8. You got one more inning to go, and nobody would talk to you, Ray. That's when the anxiety came in, and you know this, Ray, better than anybody being around the Yankees. That when you're throwing a no-hitter or a perfect game, nobody will even look at you, much less talk to you. So that's when I had the anxiety. The bottom of that pile, not so bad. I could deal with that, but by myself, looking at myself in the mirror in the bottom, in the top of, you know, after the 8th inning, before I had to go out for the 9th inning, that's where the anxiety was.
And to have Don Larson in the house, that must have been special as well.
Yeah, it really was. You know, it was Yogi Berra Day.
Yeah.
You know, and who knew? I mean, Yogi's number was number 8 for the Yankees, and there was a big number 8 painted behind home plate in honor of Yogi for Yogi Berra Day. And he and George Steinbrenner had buried the hatchet. After 15 years, Yogi was finally back in Yankee Stadium. And, you know, I ended up throwing 88 pitches that day. So you go figure. Do you believe in the baseball gods?
Wow.
Number 8 painted behind home plate. I threw a perfect game on Yogi Berra Day with 88 pitches.
Wow. And the guy to your right had something to do with it, huh?
But now, David, before you say a word, before you say a word about that, you know, I've known you for a long time, and you know how sensitive I am about the Bat Boys situations. I love Bat Boys. I love the Bat Boys from the day I started. To me, Bat Boys are superheroes. Now, you're in the clubhouse, and I know how that is, especially during the course of a game, rain delay. When you saw him and you needed to throw, I mean, take us into what was going through your mind.
Well, you know, Squeegee and I were pretty close, really. He's such a great kid from really the first day he came on the job with the Yankees. He's a guy, you know, that we played catch in the outfield a lot, actually, before that. We had kind of developed a relationship, and Squeegee was a young pitcher. So I was, you know, in my own little way, we'd play catch, and I kind of work with him a little bit and show him a couple of grips and just kind of help him a little bit along. So, you know, we kind of had that relationship already. So that day, there was a rain delay, about 45 minutes, and I'm panicking a little bit. At the old Yankee Stadium, there's really nowhere to go to throw. The batting cages underneath the boughs of Yankee Stadium were way down the line and too far to go to work out, and the hitters were using that cage anyway. So I grabbed Squeegee, and we actually played catch in the boughs in the tunnel out in front of the clubhouse. And if you've ever been in that part of Yankee Stadium, you realize the ceilings are very low. So it's hard to play catch, you know, and poor Squeegee, he didn't know what to do. And I'm skipping him off the roof, and he's ducking. It's like a pinball machine. But he hung in there. He just said, yeah, whatever you want. Yeah, let me play catch. You're the starting pitcher. I'm the bat boy. You know, whatever you need me to do. So it was kind of comical. Now that, you know, the benefit of hindsight, looking back on it, it was kind of comical as I think about that scene unfolding.
Now, David, in 1977, I had a moment in history with Reggie Jackson when, in essence, I pushed him out of the dugout. I wanted him to take the curtain call. He wouldn't take the curtain call, and I talked him into it, and he finally went out. And then later on, he said, "Oh, I only did it because Ray made me do it." Now, 25 years later, all of a sudden, you're doing the same thing with this kid over here and putting him in history forever. I mean, do you understand the magnitude of what you did for his life in that respect?
Well, yeah, I think as you said, Ray, and you know this as well as anybody, that the further removed we get from that moment in time, the more I think we both appreciate it. And we're still together. He's over at my house a lot now, and he helps out with my son Sammy here quite a bit. So yeah, I mean, we've kind of reconnected and realize that we'll forever be connected. We will forever have that bond and that connection. And now we're kind of sharing it through my son Sammy right here.
That's right.
Well, David, from the concept of the fact that both Squeegee and me come from really rough neighborhoods, born in the Bronx, and when you're born in the Bronx the way we were, at the first few years, you think that no one essentially is ever going to be there for you. You know what I'm saying? You know what's there from the standpoint of the roughness of the neighborhood, but you want to get out of the neighborhood per se. And if I had a Reggie or a Thurman, and he's had you and he had Jeter, and I just have to commend you, and that more than anything has always had me look up to you in that respect, because it always reminded me of what Thurman did for me, what Reggie did for me, and so I congratulate you from the standpoint of your heart and soul and what you did for this young man. And with that being said, and I don't think that Squeegee even knows what we're going to do here, but Rennie LaRue, we got Rennie LaRue on? Rennie?
I'm here. I'm
here.
here.
Now, you've been listening to this show, Rennie, and in essence, let David surprise David with what, in essence, we have in store for him.
Well, good evening, everyone, and this is a special night, World Series time, of course. I am the executive director and founder of the New York State Baseball Hall of Fame, and we are extending a hearty congratulations to David Cohn. He's been selected to be in the class of 2021 induction, New York State Baseball Hall of Fame.
Wow. What an honor. Thank you so much. Thank you. Quite an honor. Thank you so much.
We're thrilled, David. Tino's going in this year with Sweet Lou. Ray went in last year with Thurman and Ron Guidry and Bobby Mercer. The year before it was Mickey Mantle and Billy Martin. So you're in good company.
Very nice. I much appreciate that, because the majority of my baseball career was in New York. I spent 6 years with the Mets and 6 years with the Yankees. And I really feel like even though I was born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri, I'm a Midwesterner. I've been in New York the entirety of my adult life, it seems like. So playing my career in New York has been a blessing for me, and being around such great people, certainly has been a big part of my life. So it's a big honor to be in the New York Hall of Fame for baseball.
And I want Luis Castillo, Squeegee, but I say Luis Castillo in respect that I want him to understand that you're a big part of why David has gotten into this Hall of Fame, because your story with David, in essence, when I brought it up to the committee, it was the first thing that I talked about. Am I right, Rennie? It was the first thing that I talked about, and it was the thing that just hit my soul from the standpoint of someone going to bat for someone of lesser. As George Steinbrenner always used to say, hey, it's easy to help a guy with big bucks, But when I help a guy that really doesn't have, and in essence, he shows me that he's going to be there and be loyal to me and for me, that meant everything. That meant everything, and that's why I'm always proud of Luis Castillo, and I'm proud of the friendship that the two of you have. You know, the standpoint of Latin kid and the big star, and you know, it's just a beautiful story. And Rennie, I thank you.
Ray, I want to say thank you to
Eric,
Ray.
you should know that
We lost him. He froze.
Yeah, Luis.
I want to say thank you to Rennie and the Baseball Hall of Fame from New York of inducting my brother. I consider him my brother, and it's like a little nephew to me, man. And he keeps me up to par, this kid, and with my kids. And David deserves it from starting career, being a guy from Kansas. I was watching the Kansas City Chiefs the other day. We were watching it together with Sammy. And, you know, he's a hard worker, and I watched him work in the clubhouse as a bat boy and would stay from beginning, first one in, last one out. Always there in front of the media, win or lose, and show true leadership. And my behalf, speaking from my personal opinion, it sounds biased, but should have been the captain of the team as well.
I agree with you. I caught David. I saw what I saw him in there, and you know, in '96 and '97, and you know, nobody was like David Cohn. Right. Nobody.
And as Squeegee, what's your recollections of that perfect day?
Oh man, I just remember seeing a red face. You know, starters don't talk to anyone. You know, they're focused right after their bullpen. They're zoned in with their starting catcher and Mel Stottlemyre, one of the greats. I love that man. I miss him a lot as well. David that day was just Girardi wasn't ready. Thank you, Yo-Yo, for not being ready. But David said, "Hey, Squeech, got a ball in the glove?" And we wound up in the old Val's of Yankee Stadium in front of the clubhouse, as David mentioned. And Charlie Saransky, old security, was there. And David is just winging him. His slider was on, even though the tunnels were low. His sliders, so I know why Montreal couldn't hit him. And he was throwing hard, man. And then he goes, "Hey, let's take it onto the field." So we walked down the tunnel, and all you hear is Tony comes out first. They don't know. And everyone's yelling, "Tony, throw me a ball, throw me a ball." Tony's just focused. And we got Javier Vasquez and the team already warming up. And we're in front of the dugout. And you see Don Zimmer, the late, great Don Zimmer. I took a quick peek as Coney's down almost by Tino, the first base, throwing to me. And you just see Zimmer chuckling because he saw I was nervous. Not for David, for myself, because, you know, starters usually don't, you know, they get a partner or another teammate. But it was an honor that he chose me. And forever be thankful. I threw one messed up to him on the field. And he nonchalant picked it up and he goes, "Thumbs up, thank you." Tossed me the baseball, and that baseball I still have, and he signed it in the clubhouse after and gave me a big hug.
I have it right here. I have it right here. I took it from your house.
I knew it was gone from somewhere.
So
Squeege, Robbie,
yes.
You had some questions for David.
Well, first of all, David, congratulations on this well-deserved honor. I mean, this is fantastic.
Thank you, Robbie.
And that game that you talked about, as you described it, with the eight, you know, with Yogi Berra Day and the 88 and all that stuff, sounds like a Hollywood script, which takes me back to the last time the Dodgers won the World Series, which was 1988. And I'd like to segue into the World Series, since you being the baseball expert that you are, and I'd like to get some analysis on what you're seeing so far in this series. What do you, particularly, my favorite pitcher, current pitcher, is Clayton Kershaw. What did you think of his performance last night?
Yeah, you know, Clayton Kershaw is one of the greatest pitchers of his generation. He's a Hall of Famer in my book, and he's got a bit of a bad rap on the postseason numbers. You know, it can be a bit of a crapshoot in postseason, and you know, it's nice to see him kind of get vindicated. Even though I don't believe he needed vindication, but maybe with some in the baseball world and baseball fans, that maybe he did need a little bit of that. But yes, I'm a huge fan of Clayton Kershaw, and you know, I really do believe not only is he one of the greatest pitchers of his generation, He's one of the greatest pitchers of all time. And they have the numbers to back it up. If you take a deep dive into his numbers, you'll see they match up with anybody in the history of the game. The top, he's talking the best of all time. Certainly Sandy Koufax in that list, former Dodger lefty as well. So I put Kershaw in that category. The Dodgers have been knocking on the door for so many years now. They have such a great team that just for one reason or another haven't been able to quite break through. They're almost there, knocking on the door. And I think the Rays have really given them a good battle.
Yeah, they have. Rays are good, aren't they?
The Rays in their own right with the way they do it with less resources, with less payroll. Certainly, their pitching is very formidable. You look at their bullpen, and one after another pitcher throwing 95 to 100 miles an hour. That they're just so tough to hit. So yeah, they are a formidable challenge for the Dodgers. They're up, but the Dodgers are almost there.
Right.
Everybody feels like the Dodgers have been the best team in baseball for the last few years. So maybe it is the Dodgers' time right now, and certainly it would be it certainly be fitting that Clayton Kershaw finally gets that ring after all he's been through.
Yeah, no doubt. And Squeegee, you were inspired to write a book several years back. I'm going to put your book up on the screen. Talk about your book.
It's just a glimpse of a young kid. The title, it can be deceiving because the company,
That's what he looked like?
but honestly speaking, I pour my heart out into that book because of David. And my highlight in that book is The Perfect Game. And it talks about a young kid from the Bronx who met his childhood idol. And he taught me how to pitch and made me a great pitcher because I was a second baseman. And like Rainer Grown, I couldn't hit. So
Hey, watch yourself.
So David actually saved me and kept me in baseball in summer leagues, and he would actually read my scorecard that I would bring from the summer leagues, and ask me how I did in my summer league games when I pitched. And he made me a great pitcher, and I won about 9 championships because of this man over the 14-year span that I played in summer leagues.
Wow. And David, you came out a book last year. Talk about your new book.
Yeah, I did it with Jack Curry, who's a fantastic writer, was with the New York Times for 15 years, now a broadcaster with the Yes Network. And we've known each other for a long time. And Jack and I sat down for about 40 to 50 meetings where we talked for at least a couple of hours for each one of those meetings. And we came up with a book that just got more detailed as it went along. And we really do try to give you a raw look on the highs and lows of being a pitcher, some of the anxiety that you face as a pitcher. Some of the best players I've ever been around are some of the most insecure ones at times. You think these heroes of yours, and I'm sure, Robby Robinson in the music industry can probably attest to this, that some of the most talented people that you think are world beaters are some of the most insecure people or have to deal with anxiety or depression or other sorts of issues along the way. So, I wanted to be real and honest about it and tell the highs and the lows and the mistakes I made along the way. And also some intricacies on pitching, which I love. I mean, if you get me in a lane talking about pitching, being on the mound, I always thought the mound at Yankee Stadium was center stage in any industry. And if you're on center stage, well, that's the place to be in any industry at all. So I just loved being there, right in the middle of the diamond.
Well, you guys are great books, but I've been fishing through some pictures for you and Squeegee together, and I found like this Halloween picture. I'm gonna have to put up on the screen. Check this picture out, guys. What's going on here? Whoa! What's going on?
No, you guys, that's Photoshop.
Oh!
There you go.
Playing, guys.
There you go.
I'll explain that one.
Go ahead, Squeegee. You got some explaining to do.
Yeah, should I say? Hey, it was at Shea Stadium.
Now you're gonna blame the Mets too?
It was the day before he was supposed to pitch, and I wanted to see him again. And still was working for the Yankees as a bat boy, and that's how much I love David. That I said I would take a train ride and put on a Boston uniform just to hang with him in the clubhouse. And it hurted me a lot when he went to Boston, and it didn't matter to me. He still was my hero. He's still my friend.
Nice.
Very nice. Great. Well, you guys are a great team together. And Sammy, what do you think about your father and Squeegee?
Well, Squeegee comes a lot after week, and we do math work together. He usually comes at my lunchtime, and then we watch, some TV, one of my favorite shows, some music videos. And then he helps me with my math work, and then mostly after school we go to the park. And with my father, I do a lot of playing games, a sweetie game, where we do stuff. We play a falling game, so a lot of movies together.
Very nice.
And I heard
Very nice.
Mr. Robinson, future musician here. He's got a chance, I think. He's learning how to play the piano, and he likes to sing and rap. So watch out for this one.
All right. Well, you know how you get to Carnegie Hall, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
The same way you get to the mound in Yankee Stadium.
Well, with that being said, one of the all-time greats, and Chadwick Bosewick, who was a tremendous actor, he died last month, and Chad said, "Never be afraid to thank your heroes. As long as you're on Earth and you get the chance, you thank your heroes." And Tony Orlando has, and he knows this, has always been one of my heroes. New York boy, made it, Puerto Rican, a little Greek in him. That's okay. It was not my fault. And Tony is just wonderful. Tony, how you doing, brother?
Thank you very much, Ray, for that. And thank you for having me on. I have to share something with you and Steve. Watching you, David, so articulate, unbelievably humble, the way you receive and deliver a game on the air, such an amazing analysis of the game. Your heart of the game is always present. You're a rare man. I remember meeting you at Wings Over Wall Street when you were raising money for Jerry's kids and muscular dystrophy. You're rare because someone who's accomplished what you have in every little boy's dream is to be a baseball player. And what you've accomplished is not just success, it's super success. I mean, 5 rings, a perfect game, and that story you told with 888. I mean, you talk about God's hand on you, and probably continues to have his hand on you, because it shines what a humble human being you are, David. And you were on the greatest stage of all, the New York Yankees, man. The New York Yankees. The Mets, I love the Mets. I'm a New York kid. But the New York Yankees is ridiculous to say I pitched for them. And Don Larson, Ray, used to come to my shows all the time in Vegas. Wow. And I interviewed him from my own tape recorder off my phone about his perfect game. And you know what he told me, David? He said he never even knew what a perfect game was. He didn't even know he was pitching a perfect game. Nevertheless, a no-hitter. I mean, that blew my mind, And he said to me that the young man who took that mound and performed that day, that I was there, I really believe it was the most humbling experience, because I saw, David, I don't think you've ever heard this. This came from Don Larson. I saw myself on the mound while I'm at the stadium watching David pitch. Wow. So he was living your dream and reliving his.
Wow, I never heard that. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I tell you, just to be on this show with you and Robbie, and of course Ray, who's like my brother, and that little Cohen, I think there's superstar in you, buddy. Superstar. You like the camera. And not only are you going to write big hit records, you're going to be a movie star.
Yeah. And Robbie, you have another musical guest for us now. She's a regular on the show. Why don't you introduce her?
Well, this is a young lady, of course, I collaborate with. And this girl is a star, destined to be a superstar, and her name is Sara Niemietz. Let's bring her on.
Yeah. Oh, Sara. Yeah. With the Dodger background too. Whoa. You gotta represent.
You double crossed me, Sara. You double crossed me for the last time.
Settle down, Ray.
For the last time, Sara.
Okay. Don't do that to
It's
me.
okay.
It's okay.
No.
You don't know how stressful these games are for Robbie. We
I
gotta
gotta
support
live
him.
with this guy. You know, come on now, Sarah. But
It's
Sarah,
Robbie.
what are your thoughts about Tony Orlando right next to you there?
Tony Orlando is a legend. Tony, I have listened to you growing up so much. My parents, of course, were big fans of yours, and
You
then
weren't born yet.
they passed it on to me. Though they taught me good taste, and you
Right.
just have so many incredible songs. We also shared Hell's Kitchen. I lived in Hell's Kitchen for a while, and I see
Yeah,
you
I'm
live
born
there
and
as
raised
well.
there. That's my home.
And
Absolutely.
I just love. I've watched you on Robbie's shows, and I think one of my favorite things about you is that obviously you're incredibly talented and a legend, but you give back a lot to the community and benefits and donations, and I think that's really beautiful.
This is my 60th year since my first hit record. Wow. I'm 60 years in show business. My first hit record was a song called Halfway to Paradise, which was written by Carole King, and it was her first hit record as a songwriter. And so it started in New York, 1650 Broadway. The dream on a rooftop in Manhattan in Hell's Kitchen. And I don't have one complaint. I'm sure David feels this way too. You look back and all the trials and tribulations and all the ups and downs that life hands out. And I know, Robbie, you feel this way, and Ray too, Steve. You know, when you look back, I wouldn't change a thing. Because every time there was a down moment, it was a learning curve.
Right.
Every time there was a moment of bad moment, I never learned anything from the good moments. I look back at the good moments as great, wonderful, happy experiences. But I look back at the downs as a learning experience where I grew as a person and grew as a man. And then I was able to take this song, Yellow Ribbon, and raise almost $200 million on behalf of veterans since it was released.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm most proud of that, David, you know?
Yes.
Most proud of that.
Amazing. What a legacy. Amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. And so, you know, thank you for, you know, Sarah, thank you for your you're a young lady, and for a young person to know who I am is rare. And I appreciate the compliment, and you did it with elegance and class.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm just curious, what was it like being at the Brill Building and being around that atmosphere in that time?
Well, you know, it was something because, like, in the office that I was in, guys, check this out. Do you remember, not you, Sarah, but David, all of the others, you remember the Don Kirshner rock concert?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Kirshner, in the early 60s, was a musical guru. He was the man. And he had an office at the Brill, not the Brill Building, but 1650 Broadway, right across the street from the Brill Building. He had an office, and in that office was myself, and then a young man named Neil Diamond. And none of us had hits yet. And then a duet named Tom and Jerry. They never made it until they changed their name to Simon and Garfunkel. And then Carole King, she had never made it yet. And Bobby Darin was just starting out, beginning to make it. Neil Sedaka was in that office. All of us kids, all of us in the minor leagues, David, in a 6th floor cubicles, writing songs and dreaming about becoming stars. And each one of those people all started together on the same floor, next door to each other. And when I think back to the day that Carole King walked into my office, a cubicle about the size of a closet, and she said, "Tony, last night, I swear, I think I wrote a #1 record. Let me just sit down and play it for you." And she played me a song called "Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow?"
Wow.
Which was, of course, a standard, a song that went beyond words. The next time she came to me was when she said, "Come out to my house on Brown Street in Brooklyn, and Jerry and I are going to be writing tonight." Jerry Wexler gave us a title called "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman." I'm sitting there, guys, watching Carole King and Jerry Goffin write "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman." Okay?
Wow.
And Jerry, at one point, David, started pushing up Robbie, the ivories on a stand-up piano, pushing it up, and the would fly up in the air. I can't get this line. I can't get this line. And finally, he storms away. I said, Carol, Jerry's got some anger issues, huh? He goes, oh, wait till he comes back. He comes back. He sits down 30 minutes later. I'll never forget this as long as I live. He says, I got it. I just got it. I took my soul to the lost and found, and you came by and claimed it. What a line.
Wow.
And that made me feel like a natural woman. So all of these wonderful moments in my life. And by the way, David, I grew up with a friend of yours, Joe Torre.
Yes.
I know Joe Torre since I'm 15 years old. Wow. And we're still brothers, still friends.
Wow.
So
the best.
We're friends a long time. You've introduced me to all of my favorite ball players that live on the planet, like this man here tonight. You introduced me to Robbie, who is, of course, the great musical director for the great Frankie Valli, a man I call chairman of the board. He's taken Sinatra's place. And now you introduced me to Sara and to Squeegee and to the young Cohen. My lucky day, Steve.
There we go. And Sara, you've been knocking a couple of times over there. What do you got for Tony Bruin?
Yeah, I tried to knock once.
Yes.
Didn't quite do it. Tried twice. Something was off. But in all seriousness, Robbie and I were talking about Tony Orlando's music, and Robbie had a Tony show on his Jam and Java, and we wanted to do a little tribute to you, so we knocked 3 times.
Yes. Let's take a listen.
Hey boy, what you doing down there? Dancing alone every night. Well, I live right above you. I can hear your music playing. I can feel your body swaying. On the floor below me, you don't even know me. I love you. Oh, my darling, knock 3 times on the ceiling if you wanna be. Twice on the pipe if the answer is no. Oh, my sweetness means you meet me in the hallway. Twice on the pipe means you ain't gonna show. You look out your window tonight, pulling the string with the note that's attached to my heart. Read how many times I saw you, how in my silence I adored you. Only in my dreams did that wall between us come apart. Oh, my darling, knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me. Twice on the pipe if the answer's no. I'm a sweet days. It means you meet me in the hallway. Twice on the pipe means you ain't gonna show. When this old world starts getting me down, and people are just too much for me to face, to the top of the stairs, and all my cares just drift right into space. Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me. Oh, twice on the pipe if the answer's no. Oh, my sweetness, please you meet me in the hallway. Twice on the pipe means you ain't gonna show. You ain't gonna show. You ain't gonna show.
Sarah, I forgive you. Yes, all right. All right, I forgive you, Sarah.
Hey, listen, if you would have cut that first, it would have sold 6 million instead of 4 million.
I don't know. I'm curious.
And the percussionist, by the way, used to play percussion with me, thanks to Robbie. That's Richard Garcia.
He's amazing.
Who plays great,
I'm curious. Did they knock? Did she show? How many times? How did the story end?
Well, you know, there's a funny thing about that song. You know why that song was written? It was written from another record that was a hit. Maybe some of you remember. It was called Just Give Me Some Kind of Sign, Girl.
Yeah. Oh, my baby.
So Just Give Me Some Kind of Sign is what created the idea of getting the sign of Knock 3 Times. And she said in New York City, in the tenement buildings, people actually communicated through the steam pipes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Right?
Yes.
You remember that, Ray? So
Hey, Tony, listen, Tony.
Yeah.
Tony, don't say too much because there's about 15 girls out there that think that song, you wrote that song for me, for them.
It's so true though. My buddy used to live above me in New York, and if I stood on the bathroom on the toilet and sang up, we could sing to each other. It was awesome.
As a matter of fact, when I recorded that, I told the producer, Hank Medras, I said, Hank, you do know, we were following a song that was #1 for me then called Candida.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And then this record was the follow-up. So Candida sold 2 million records. So I figured, well, I'm a one-hit wonder. It's over. And in comes this song. And I said to Hank Medras, the producer, I said, Hank, this song will only be a hit in Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens.
Right.
Nobody in Missouri has a steam pipe to hit on the ceiling and communicate. By the way, David, you're in New York, and I now live in Missouri. I'm speaking to you from Branson, Missouri, where I've lived now for 23 years.
Wow, amazing.
A great state, by the way. A great state, great people.
Yeah.
Heartwarming state to live. I'm proud to be in Missouri.
Listen, all I know is I'm happy to be able to say there are Puerto Ricans in Missouri.
And I met
I can stand to be counted.
Hey, Tony, you know the guy who wrote
Kansas City, David will tell you that.
that song is a mutual friend of yours and mine, and his name, of course, is L. Russell, better known as Larry Brown.
Yeah,
we're here with L. Russell Brown, fabulous songwriter for people like Tony Orlando, for people like Frankie Valli, for many others that you've heard. He wrote Knock 3 Times, and he wrote Tie a Yellow Ribbon. Hey, L. Russell.
First, let me say thank you for having me on this to be part of an interview with one of the greatest people in my life who've helped make my life, Tony Orlando. Go ahead, fire away.
All right. The question for you is, when was the first time that you ever played the song Tie a Yellow Ribbon for Tony Orlando? Or when was the first time Tony Orlando ever heard that song?
One morning, his producer, Hank Medras, called us in and for a meeting with Tony because he had a new song that we wrote he wanted to play. And we sat in Hank Medras' office for 15 minutes, and he said, Larry, you and Tony go in the writer's room and play it for him. So we went into a little tiny cubicle. I mean, our knees were touching. It wasn't 5 by 5. And And I took out the guitar and I sang Tie a Yellow Ribbon. And Tony listened intently. When it was all done, Tony said, you know, I like country music a lot, but I'm really not a country artist. And I said, but Tony, it's not a country song. It's an amalgamation of pop, country, folk, a lot of different things, a strange combination. He said, Larry, I like the way you sing. Why don't you do it? I said, Tony. I said, no, Tony, you're the artist. Please consider it. And he said, well, I don't know, Larry. I'll see what I can do. And Hank Medras convinced him to do it. Thank God he did, because he made it a standard, and he sings it every night of his life. I think he liked to shoot me, but he loves me. But I love him.
Wow, great interview, Robbie.
Not only wrote Yellow Ribbon, and the story is true, what he tells. I didn't want to record it. I said to myself, I have to live to knock 3 times. Now I got to go to tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree. Who in the world is going to buy these corny titles? Who is going to? It turns out it made my career. He made my career. Without Larry Brown and Erwin Levine, there would be no Tony Orlando and Dawn. There'd be no Tony Orlando and Dawn show. Believe me, David, he was my fastball, my curveball, my sinker. He was it. He threw, every time he wrote a song, it either went top 10 or number 1. For instance, say, has anybody seen My Sweet Gypsy Rose? Went to number 1. Yellow Ribbon went to number 1 around the world twice. Knock 3 times is still the biggest selling record domestically we ever had. Wow. That guy single-handedly delivered this baby.
Wow. Awesome.
Nice.
Now,
Love
Tony, you have a new radio show coming up. Why don't you explain to our viewers what's going on in a couple of days?
I do. You know how things are so cyclical, David?
Wait a minute. Listen, you don't use our show to move your show now. What the heck are you doing?
Guys, give them a break. Let them cut them some slack.
Puerto Rican on Puerto Rican crime.
Tony, plug your show.
I've been doing those shows before when I promote nothing. So I have to continue to do that. The truth of the matter is I'm very proud that WABC has asked me to do a 2-hour show Saturday nights starting October 31st. And, you know, I follow Bruce Morrow. My first record I told you about, guys, that was out, 60 years ago. First time it was ever played was on Bruce Morrow. And here I am following my man, my buddy, on WABC radio every Saturday night for 2 hours. And I think radio is a, theater of the mind. It's the best format. It creates a certain relationship with people I don't think any other medium does. I don't know about how you guys feel about it. I know, Ray, you have a radio show, and you do too, David. But radio shows, to me, is, it's one-on-one with people. You're talking to one person alone while they're driving home on the West Side Highway. It's not a whole crowd of people. So it's intimate. It's informative. I'm allowed to talk about my experiences with all the performers. I got Lionel Richie calling in, and Adam Sandler, and all my buddies out there. So it'll be fun.
Wow. Congratulations. Every Saturday night. And
we'll be listening, and we will be pushing it.
And Robbie, you got your show every Monday night, too. Why don't you talk about your show, Robbie?
Well, it's 7 o'clock California time, 10 o'clock Eastern time, and I have a lot of great guests. For example, Tony was gracious enough to do my show one night, and of course, Sara is a semi-regular on the show. And tonight, the great Marty Brenneman is going to be on, the Hall of Fame baseball announcer for the Cincinnati Reds, and we're going to talk.
Nice. And Squeegee and David Cohn, how can people get your book? Squeegee, you first. How can they get your book?
You can go on Amazon.com or Barnes & Nobles. They're selling ebooks still at Barnes & Nobles.
Okay, David?
Yeah, mine's real easy. DavidCohnBook.com, and it'll tell you everything you need to know. It's been out for a while. Paperback's out now. Thank you.
And a bestseller, New York Times bestseller, brother. Love it.
Lucky. You did. Jackson.
Right.
That's right.
When I come to the stadium, you will sign it for me, David?
Absolutely, I will. Anything for you guys. It's tremendous.
And Sara, what's the story, my young lady friend?
Thank you, sir. I have an album that just came out on last Friday. It's a live album. It's available everywhere now.
How?
And she happens to have a clip, I think, doesn't she?
I do have a clip.
Yeah, we're gonna end the show with that clip. We're gonna end.
Oh, okay. Well, just head to my website. It was Sara Niemietz, SARANIEMIETZ.com, and all of the info's there.
And Tony, you've been around the baseball field. You met some major league stars over the years. We have one with you as Ricky Henderson,
right?
And Bernie.
Yeah, Bernie.
And then Doc.
Great.
Frank Howard.
Yeah. No, Frank.
What is that?
Frank.
Hey, that's
Frank,
private.
Frank Thomas.
That's
Frank
personal.
Oh, no, look at that picture.
That is personal.
I live in
with you
baseball. I don't think I could. My lifetime, I couldn't imagine baseball not being in my life. You know, it is really the core value between my son and I. I took my son to when I lived in L.A., we had those Dodger seats that were right next to Tommy's, the sorter, where he was sitting. So I would hear all the stuff that came out of that dugout, David. Some of it I can't repeat on the show. But it was an honor to be there with those guys and watch what baseball players go through. You know, people don't have any idea the strain, the continual, constant. You know, you go to sleep, you get up, they're playing baseball. You get up, you go to bed, they're playing baseball. Comes Sunday morning, they're playing baseball. Comes Tuesday night, they're playing baseball. And this goes on and on. And without this season, what would this pandemic be like without the fact that we could go see a baseball game?
That's right.
I want to let you know, Tony, some of the Four Seasons and some of the modern gentlemen are saying hi and they love you and all that kind of stuff.
My love to them. I love them all.
You know, Robby Robinson, your guys are out there saying hi, etc.
You know, that's a fun connection. The pianist on my record just produced the new record on the Modern Gentlemen. It's just such a small world.
Wow.
What a great group they are.
Well, everybody, thank you so very much for joining us.
Sammy, thank you, Sammy.
Sammy, thank you so
Thank
very
you,
much.
Sammy.
Reach out with Ray and Steve. And
hey, Sammy and Squeegee they were in my last movie together. They actually are in the same movie.
Oh, wow.
So we'll see
Very
that
good,
next year.
Sammy. Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. God bless. But Sara, you're gonna take us home
Take
here
us
tonight.
home, Sara.
Take us home.
All
here.
right.
There we go.
Let's hear some live music.
Yes.
I'm not looking for simple. Life don't work that way. I'm just looking for something that won't fade away. If it's made to last, baby, can't you see? If it's made to last, then it's good enough for me. You don't walk on water, but you keep my feet on solid ground. And when this world gets crazy,